who invented it. That is fantastic. 60,000? Really? That is crazy. Hey, what's up, ecosystem? Car subscription, subscribing to a car, dealer-based shared mobility. What is subscribing to a car, and how does that affect the car shipping industry? From the OEMs to the dealers to the auto auctions, changing business models and car buying behavior matters. You're going to want to buckle in. It's Tuesday nights live on Auto Transport Intel. I'm Jay, your host. Welcome back to the show. Shipping people, what it is, welcome back to the show. It's Tuesday nights live on Auto Transport Intel. I'm Jay, your host. We made it to another Tuesday night. This is episode 113. Every Tuesday night I go live at 8 Central, 9 Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific if you're on the West Coast. And I want you to feel welcome to the show. Listen, if this is your first time here, let me tell you what's going on. I got the ATI welcome, the car haulers and the video montage and the whatnot. So please come in, have a seat, join the live chat, grab a turkey leg, and I really do want you to feel welcome. In fact, I'm going to go into the live chat here in a few minutes. I'm going to say hello to the live chat. The live chat is a big part of the show, and let us know what's going on. I saw Bill was saying that he's really busy, so please do say hello. What's going on? What's a win? What's a loss? What's on your mind? There's always a million things on people's minds. This is the car shipping industry. We're going to go into industry news. That's where I have the memes and the pictures and the Facebook stuff and the gripes and the arguments continue. That's industry news. Got a lot of stuff, actually, that we're going to go over. And then we're going to go into the information superhighway. This is when I set up tonight's topic some more, which is car subscription. I'm so excited that tonight we have John Possumato. He's the CEO of DriveItAway.com. He gave a presentation at Autotrans Intel Summit in Raleigh, and he's now on Auto Transport Intel, and also at Used Car Week. So amazing information. I get hung up on the fact that it's Auto Intel Summit. It's not Auto Trans Intel. Okay, so then we're also going to have a live panel, a car subscription live panel discussion with Elena. She's from Side Gig Central. And Keith at Drive It Away. And they know the three of them together, they have a lot to say about car subscription and Drive It Away. It's going to be an amazing conversation. I'm going to try and hold my own, ask the questions, and I'm looking forward to you guys participating in the live chat, ask some questions. But even if everyone's just crickets, there's going to be a lot. There's a lot going on. There's a lot to cover. So I'm excited about that. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to come back right after the break. We're going to go into the live chat. I hope you'll stick around. It's going to be a great show.
Are you completely stressed out from all the calls and the contracts and the verification of loads when nobody answers the phone? Call Murphy Auto Dispatch Services today. Murphy Auto Dispatch Services has over 15 years of experience in the transport industry. We are your office while you are on the road. We book, we verify, and we bill out your loads for you. We have an excellent accounting staff and an even better dispatch team. Give us a call today at 417-273-0021. Or if you want to email me, it's murphyautotransport31@yahoo.com. Give us a call today.
And that's right, this is a live show. Anything can happen. I can hit the wrong button. I'm the switcher. I'm the host, the producer. I am Auto Transport Intel, and I really, really do appreciate you guys joining me, whether you're on YouTube. I've also got Facebook pulled up over here. Tina Teeny says hello on Facebook. Thank you, Tina. And in YouTube, we've got M Fields. Hey, Jay, it's Marcus from Exclusive Luxury Transport in Las Vegas. Anybody on the show needs help with financing equipment, call M Fields. He's got his phone number up there. That's pretty cool. Thank you, M Fields. Thanks for saying hello and sharing the information. It means a lot. And hopefully that helps somebody else out there. Bad Apples, what's up, car people's finally made it. Really busy, he says. You know, this is a family show. YouTube has all kinds of policies about cleanliness and familyness, and so this is a family show. And trucking is a family business. Seven Seas Transport, what's up? Happy Thanksgiving, everyone. Turkey, turkey, gobble, gobble. I got my ELD turkey over here. That's right. We're going to cut that sucker open. No, actually, you know, it's interesting. Who doesn't know that HOS is under review? All that argument and stagnation and consternation about ELD. Hopefully it's going to get us somewhere, because ELD just, you know, it's just an egg timer, right? You put in the dollars and cents and you don't get any money back, and then you hit start and you drive like heck. There you go. That's how it works. And then that'll go off at some point, and then the turkey's ready. Okay, Auto Trans Intel. Kimberly says, hey, what's up? Happy Thanksgiving. Thank you, Kimberly. Appreciate that. Thank you for helping the show. Means a lot. Let's see who we got. Michael, Semi-Trucker. Good evening, everyone. What's up, Michael? Thanks for tuning in. Appreciate it. Means a lot. Trucker Life TV. Happy Thanksgiving, everyone. Carlos Braxton. What's up, ACB Logistics? Michael Color. Sup, y'all? What's up, Michael? Then Michael the Semi-Trucker. Happy Thanksgiving. Happy Thanksgiving. You know, it is a big, it's a great holiday. It's great, you know. You sit around, eat a lot, see your friends. You know, that is a great holiday. So hopefully you're on your way somewhere where you can enjoy some Thanksgiving meal with some friends. And I truly wish that for everybody. Jeremy says Happy Turkey Day. TDK Transports. Happy Thanksgiving, brothers and sisters. Michael Caller, turkey leg, where's the beer? Well, I got my ELD Kool-Aid around here somewhere. Mark says, Mark from SuperFlo Systems. Looking forward to tonight's show. Me too. You know what? This car subscription thing, when I first really learned about it from John was it July? I was scratching my head. And then I heard him talk more about it at Used Car Week, and I'm thinking, no, he's right. This is definitely the future, and I can't wait to help spread the good word. Jeremy, Tor, and it's not bad news. It's not bad news. It's just news. Tori, turkey, goo, turkey, turkey, giggle. I'm actually reading this. I wish turkey only cost a nickel. Matthew's memes. Hey, Jay, I'm new. What's up, Matthew? Welcome to the show. I think you'll like industry news. A lot of Facebook pages don't want any memes. I say bring them. Send me your memes, autotransportintel@gmail.com. I've been out of Autotrans for about 3 years. Have just over 10 years Autotrans, 20 years trucking, debating if I should get back into it. Well, Michael, this is definitely the show for you, because there is definitely a debate about this. Mark, where is Ty? Still looking for cars to transport. Give him a call. He's in the ads. Actually, his ad is coming up. Keith, hey, found it. I'm here. What's up, Keith? Keith is from DriveItAway. Keith is going to be in the live chat. Listen, if you have a question for DriveItAway, you can live chat Keith. He's right here. Say hello. Matthew's memes. Matthew's new. Ali Holikov. Hey, what's up? Yeah, what's up? I think Ali does also do dispatching. So welcome to the show, Ali. Let's see here. Matthew keeps telling me he's new. Well, hey, man, why not? Welcome to the show. Exactly, dude. Right on. You know what? That's fine. Newbies welcome. I'll tell you what, and that's another thing I've seen. Newbies are not welcome everywhere. What is up with that? Really? Really? Okay. All right. Well, you're welcome here, so ask away. What's up, Apple? He's new. Mark, looking for Moosey. He has good stuff to show next week, introducing Dispatch Center to the listening audience. That's right. Next week, let's go ahead and let's see here. Let me just go ahead and do bang. Next week, we're going to do auto transport mobile app load board notifications with Dispatch Center. You are definitely going to want to see that show. So if you have a question about that right now, you can ask Mark from SuperFlo. He's in the live chat. Ask away. Ask away. See? This is a newbie-friendly zone. Who'd have thought? Who'd have thought you could actually ask questions online and not get pummeled? That's pretty cool. Hey, what's up, Matt Majewski? Dude, thanks for tuning in. Matt is from ACV. Got a question for Matt and ACV. Live chat, I'm here. And that's the thing, too. I encourage everybody to join the live chat, say hello, because if you're watching right now and you could be interacting, answering questions, promoting your company, do it. Do it. Newbies welcome, companies welcome. Who would have thought? Happy Thanksgiving. Let's see here. Oh, Matt is new. Hey, Mark, what's up? Happy Thanksgiving. I'm new. No, I'm just kidding. Listen, man, really cool. I love the live chat. It's so fun to say hello to everybody. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to do a little bit of this, a little bit of that. We're going to be right back with some industry news.
Hey guys, Ty, CTS Business Coaching. I connect dealers, auctions, and carriers. If you're a dealer and you're not getting your inventory on the lot in 5 days ready to sell, you've got a problem. It's called interest. Like I'm telling you something you don't know. Give me a call. I can connect you with an auction and a carrier, and you can get your cars on the lot in 5 days or less. 417-483-2764. Thanks and have a great day.
So when I was doing voiceover during the technical difficulties, but of course you couldn't hear it either, Ty was frozen on the screen. That's a first. I don't think Ty has ever been frozen on the screen before. But again, proof that it's a live show. It's live. It's not Memorex. Yeah, well, what are you going to do? All right, but we just, we got to roll with the punches, right? Okay. All right, so let's go into some industry news. It's already 8:13. By the way, listen, again, I just want to say this. If you are joining me tonight, I really do appreciate it. It's episode 113, Tuesday night in a row, and I put a lot into this show, and I do it. My goal is to help educate folks in the auto transport industry that are too busy day to day to do that, for yourself, right? I know you're staying up on different things that pertain to what your task is at hand. I know, because I was a dispatcher. When I was a dispatcher, I couldn't do hardly anything else. I mean, I read some news and stuff to try and distract myself from staring at terrible rates all day. But you know what I'm saying? It's hard to stay informed, so that's my goal. All right, let's go into some industry news. Let's do this thing. I got to start with something silly. Because what is life without silly scale dodging sightseeing? I love that cat. I could watch these cat memes all day long. Oh man, which cat? Okay. Yeah, no thanks. So that's probably. Let's go ahead and zoom in there. Let's see here, Mr. DOT officer. We got a yay or a nay? I'm gonna go with yeah. I'm all right. I'm pulling around back. Okay. Well, I mean, I saw that other guy doing it. Figured, oh, okay. Yeah, pulling around back? Okay, I'm pulling around back. No, just let him go. He's fine. Would you look at this? No tail lights. Still driving oh, well. Hashtag. And dude, look at that. he is rolling down the highway, and he got a great picture. That guy's a photographer and a car hauler. It's good stuff, man. Okay, I shared this on social media. So what was really interesting about the news story is that eyewitnesses said that they saw that ladder on the road hit the lady's. Really? It's a ladder? Huh. I have sworn that was an aluminum ramp. Oh well. I guess today just wasn't my day to drive. Woke up this morning and somebody slashed on my tires. You know, I got to thinking, you think it's an inside job? I'm thinking somebody knows you. You know what I'm saying? Like, or used to, real well? I don't know. Just thinking. Oh, hey, look, I found a mix. Yeah, now that's a real mix. Huh? She's a beauty. Okay. I have a Cottrell high rail. I've noticed cracking on these posts. I'm no mechanical engineer, but should I be concerned? You know, we've seen those before. And I know there was a post where somebody was trying to say that they had mentioned it to the trailer manufacturer, and someone else said, nah, I've never seen those before. Well, there it is again. So where there's smoke, there's fire. I don't know. I'm just guessing. I don't know why I shared this. I think this was all over the place. Just, I don't know. Really? I'm not sure why. I'm just not sure why. I guess I'm really hoping that text got through. Okay. Now that I have your attention, in case you guys haven't heard, CHP is now employing a drone to stop trucks. Look at that. Look at that drone. Most recently been using it on 99 between Merced and Chowchilla. So look up. You might want to take that visor off before you go in California so you can, do one of those deals. I'm just saying. Maybe have somebody peeking out the hatch. What's really going on in California for owner-operators? Okay, this is, it's all over the news. It seems like a bomb went off. What did he say? Oh, it seems like an AB5 went off. Oh, I got it. You Google AB5 and they either plan on moving or working out of state, sell your business, work for another company. California pretty much screwed it up. See, I fuzzed out the commenter because, this is a family show. I don't know. I don't need those complaints. Hey, valued customers. Okay, do you know what this is? This is, listen, if you get this, read it. Okay? If you get one of these, read it. This is about the clearinghouse, okay? The drug and FMCSA Drug and Alcohol Clearinghouse. Dude, don't wait. January 6th? Somebody check the ELD? That's like 6 weeks. Dude, are you doing this? You got to do this. And it's hairy, dude. There's a whole lot to know. I'm not going to go into the minutia, but I'm telling you, we did a show about it. After the show, Google on YouTube. FMCSA Drug and Alcohol Clearinghouse. Whether you watch my video or somebody else's, just get informed. Don't mess this up. Don't give them another reason, right? Yeah, fun program. Oh, hey, why am I seeing so many car haulers for sale and no one willing to drive them? Okay, here's the answers. Because a lot of people heard there was a ton of money in hauling cars, so they bought one. A couple of damages later, they put it up for sale. They realized it's hard work. The rates are bad. And they drove the rates so low they can't afford them. So here you go. ELD turkey. Seriously. And yeah, I get emails every day of people that want to get in. And I'm not saying don't. I'm not a dream crusher, okay? But I am saying there's a lot more to it. And by the way, as Elena on Side Gig Central was talking about, even like ride-sharing drivers, Uber, Lyft, their market's getting so saturated, it's hard now to make a living as an incoming Uber driver. So a good-paying side gig or a good-paying main gig or whatever, if it gets too saturated, guess what happens to posted rates or, the going rates, supply and demand? Okay, I'm seeing a lot of complaining about what's happening, but no ideas to fix it. Think, guys. And this guy says all carriers need to get on the same page and refuse cheap loads. Okay, yeah, how do we do that, right? How do we do it? All right, well, here's another comment. Same page. Too much wasted time on this page with no solutions. Think outside the box. Which, by the way, I do on Auto Transport Intel, but you know. Going to start on a brokerage. Rules to follow this weekend. It's going to get interesting. Fight fire with fire. I love this comment. This is great. That's right. Fight fire with fire. Burn, burn it to the ground. I mean, yeah, anyways. Now that everything's all burnt up. Okay, so here's an idea. Hello, everyone. Let's call Central Dispatch. Tell them the prohibited advertisements, less than 50 cents a mile per unit. And this guy says they don't care as long as they get their monthly fee. Well, it's funny. I was actually trying to help somebody get a hold of them, and you can't email them. There's no email. They got a Facebook page. They got a phone number. You can fax them. No email. Really? $115 a month? No email. Okay. What if we, members of this group, start a mass brokerage, start stealing all the loads from these guys, and only charge a flat fee overhead, a mass co-op with only verified legit carriers allowed? This guy says no chance. This is my 16th year doing this. Comes in waves. Only time we'll weed out the guys can't survive. And by the way, talk about the clearinghouse, man. You want to talk about weed? Weeding them out? That is going to definitely weed people out. But here's why I share this. How in the world are we all going to form this mass co-op when even like a brokerage using a company they regularly use has a driver that puts 41 miles on a 1989 Mercedes-Benz, and then the oil valve cover looks like someone took a hammer to it, and then talking about if you're going to drive someone's personal vehicle. And they said it was standard procedure for them. Did you guys see this post? Insanity. Meanwhile, the broker's defending himself like it's David and Goliath. Oh, yeah, okay. And now here is the broker's fine print. It's not fine print, but it's in the contract. Number 6, carrier is required to note the vehicle's odometer reading at pickup and delivery on the bill of lading. Carrier can only drive the vehicle to load and unload the vehicle. Carrier cannot drive the vehicle otherwise without explicit written permission, which he did not get. In the event the customer complains of mileage discrepancy and the miles not noted, I mean, it's right there. Is it going to matter? Is it? Yeah, maybe in a court of law. You going to put that together? Also, there's been a lot of consternation. Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration issued governance. Have you seen this? Have you seen all of the social media hubbub about brokerage forwarding services? Who's illegal, who's not illegal, brokers pretending to be dispatchers, I think just trying to do their job and not live in the shadows. What is going on? What is going on with all this broker, dispatcher talk? I don't know. And I'm talking about it because, listen, if dispatchers, if they're going to have like a dispatch and frisk policy, like we're going to go around rounding up the dispatchers, then we probably ought to let them know that, and I guess this is the point, is that they should know. But again, is a broker a dispatcher? Are they the same thing? I don't know. I'm confused. It's like saying a repo guy is a car hauler. They have different jobs, don't they? Throw them in the clink. The clink. Nobody throws people in clinks anymore. So I try to share car shipping advice. You may have seen this video recently. I thought this was a pretty good one. I posted this, I think, Sunday. You might have seen that on social media. And, I want to clarify. I shared this news story. I think this was today. I want to say I'm not saying that all car hauling fleet owners should engage autonomous truck platooning technology. What I'm saying is, if you're a driver at a car hauling fleet, you should know that other countries are messing around with this technology. I think it's going on in like Sweden or Norway, and now in South Korea, probably coming to a city near you one of these years. So know about it, and then know that just sitting behind the wheel and not learning what's going on in new technologies, probably not going to help with the falling rates and the higher competition. My point is just stay informed. That's what Auto Transport Intel's here to help you do. Or not. Or stay informed. You know, here's the, this one's really, I think this is a great video. I'm really happy with it. This is like is it like 28 minutes? Stay informed, car shipping business, Q4 2019. I also highly recommend my auto transport software update, Q4 2019. That's what it's all about. Oh, this was the live show. Yeah. Okay, cool. So that was the, and here's why I wanted to share this too, is that I'm looking at the whole ecosystem, identifying the parts, how they relate. There's more parts than this, but for some that are just in one of these squares, it is time to connect the squares. So that's the goal here. Okay, so we're going to be doing that. We're going to be connecting the squares and the circles, dotting the I's, crossing the T's. What are we doing next? Oh, next we're going to do the information superhighway. So listen, John, hang on like another 10 minutes. I'll be with you. I'll be emailing you. And if you're chatting in the live chat, I appreciate that. Thank you for doing that. If you've gotten my emails recently, let me know what you think. Let me know what you'd like to see on the show, and let me know if I can help you get your message out there. This is a message from SuperFlo.
Building an auto transport business is not like it used to be. The cake you bake, per se, has changed, and it's crucial that you have the technologies to change as well. You want true QuickBooks integrations? No problem. You want automatic credit card processing? We got it. You want electronic signatures? That's easy. How about a virtual dispatcher working your COD amounts and refreshing the load boards 24/7 for you? Yeah, that's right. No more, I need to bump this job or that job. It's all so time-consuming. Tell our price bot what to do, and he does it. No questions asked. Now that's what I'm talking about. Sign up today or call now for a free demo.
Hey, what's up, ecosystem? Listen, if you're just joining me now, I'm checking out the live chat. I appreciate it. If you're tuning in on Facebook, thank you so much. If you're tuning in on YouTube, welcome back to Tuesday Nights Live. And I know that it's, Tuesday night is the time of the week. We look to, get back together and we count on it Tuesday night. And we also count on Thanksgiving. It's good to have those traditions. Keep you regular. Auto Transport Intel, your Geritol. Memorex, you're showing your age with that one. That looked like Mannheim. Candy at Seaport Service, truck porn. That dude got serious troll following him, slashing tires. I know, right? It's that is car hauling. Maddie Porter found it. Hello, everyone. Thanks for tuning in, Maddie. Really appreciate it. Baby bear in the air, space bears. Bear hugs. Okay. What additional loads would a hotshot trucker with an air ride trailer have access to? That's cool, man. Well, listen, you know that if you, depending on what equipment you have, if you're doing hotshot, like cars and freight, you definitely, there are some other, like you could check out Tow Piglet. He's got a show, and he talks about hotshot car hauling and hotshot freight. I believe he's got a flatbed. And if you're in the freight world, you're going to go to DAT.com. I believe it's DAT.com. That's the main load board there. You can go to Internet Truck Stop at truckstop.com. Hey, if you want to learn more about freight, check out my friend Mark at Trucking Answers. Trucking Answers is a YouTube channel. Mark goes live every Monday at 1 p.m. Eastern, noon Central. Say hello from Auto Transport Intel. So check him out. There's some ideas. J&M Auto Transport. What's up, Jay? Well, what's up, J&M? Thanks for tuning in, man. I appreciate it. Oh, cool. Matt's email address. Yeah, man. Email him. And you can also email me, autotransportintel@gmail.com. Let me know if I can help. Hey, Jay, Rob with River City Auto Dispatch. Yeah, what's up? Thanks for tuning in, Rob. I appreciate it. Also, let me know, guys, if the auto the audio and the video is okay. I think it is. I hope there's no delay. I know this laptop, this thing right here is, running out of gas. So I'm looking to upgrade this system hopefully in the next month. All right, let's go into some information super highway, way. All right, so what is going on tonight? We're talking about DriveItAway car subscription. Subscribing to a car. You can subscribe to a car? Really? Yeah, you can. You guys heard of shared mobility? I know, shared mobility. Let's check that out. Shared mobility. All right. Shared mobility. Can you read that? Let's do it again. Shared mobility refers to the shared use of a vehicle, bicycle, or other transportation mode. It is a transportation strategy that allows users to access transportation services on an as-needed basis. Now, just like, Tesla's talking about, if you own a Tesla, when you're not driving it, go ahead and send that thing out for ride sharing. Put it to work. Make some money. Help make the payments. Yeah, okay. And ride sharing. What's ride sharing, right? We know Uber, right? By the way, did you know that Uber's been around since March 2009? Isn't that interesting? But question, how many, or rather, what year did you ride your first Uber, right? I'm going to guess, personally, 3-4 years ago maybe. So let's say 2015. All right, so that makes about sense. You start 2009, takes a good 5 years. And there was a lot of politics and cities and no Uber, and you're gonna have crazy people driving and all that stuff. All right, so that's Uber, ride sharing, right? What I thought you were gonna talk about car subscription. Well, I am gonna talk about car subscription. But the reason I talked about Uber, Amazanification, shared mobility, is that within this new realm of business model, we have car subscription, a service where a customer pays a recurring fee for the right to use one or more automotive vehicles, right? Because what do you do now? You either buy a car, you lease a car, you sign that lease. What are you in for? What, 5 to 10? No, you're in for like 2-3 years, right? And you got in your payment cycles 48 months, now 72 months, now like 4,000 months or something, right? What a commitment. You have commitment issues? Try car subscription, right? What if you could get a car? What if you could get into a car on a monthly basis? What about on a daily basis? What if you could get into a car on a daily basis? Are you kidding me? How do I do this? How do I subscribe to a car? Okay, you ask the question. You know what's interesting? I saw this. I Googled, how do I subscribe to a car? And I found, you'll see some different news articles. I saw one about Ford. What was it? Ford? Ah, dang it. Where did it go? Well, it doesn't. I saw this article about, it's Ford. Here it is. Ford car subscription. Okay. Wait, Ford sells its monthly vehicle subscription service to Fair. Wait a minute. An OEM is now connected to a car subscription service? Bingo. It's now time to pay attention. Because anything an OEM does, or a dealer, and dealers are doing this too, or an auto auction, if you got 2 out of 3, you've got a changing business model. It's time to pay attention. It's time to find out, what is car subscription? What is that going to do to this industry? In fact, that's the question of the day. What is car subscription going to do to this industry? All right, let me change the camera here. Anybody know? Does anybody have a guess? Will it matter? Whoa, hey, what's going on? Is there room for a new, hey, your hand's in the way. Is there room for a new business model here? Maybe it's time to learn more about car subscription. That's what we're going to do right now. Here's what's going to happen. We're going to be back in a couple minutes. We're going to have John. He's the CEO of DriveItAway. We're going to learn what this is all about. Amazing presentation coming. You are not going to want to miss this. Stick around. We're going to be back soon.
Part of the goal of DriveItAway from the beginning was to be the Swiss Army knife of shared mobility for car dealers. So our biggest push, we're known for car sharing, for ride sharing with a path to ownership, providing rental vehicles to Uber and Lyft drivers, and the path to ownership to buy them. But lots of dealers came up to us and said, gee, can you do subscriptions? Can you basically do long-term rentals for non-ride share drivers? And can you do it in the same sort of package where you have insurance and maintenance and roadside assistance all wrapped into one? So what a subscription is just a vehicle package, including all those things, on a month-to-month basis, where someone can switch to a different vehicle the next month, right? No long-term commitments, no financial contracts, no long-term leases, no credit checks, no personal guarantees, right? Really, we think this is for individuals and businesses as well, right?
Right. That was actually going to be my next question is, who is this actually for? This is for an individual as well as a small business?
Yeah, exactly. It's really for anyone who doesn't want to get tied up right now in a long-term obligation, a lease, or a traditional finance contract, but needs a vehicle and wants it turnkey.
All right. Hey, I got a sticker on my head. Hey, bang. Okay. So, I welcome back to Auto Transport Intel. By the way, I just saw in the live chat, and John's going to be with us shortly. In the live chat, M Field says, I think you don't increase transport in the used market. How very interesting. That's such a great comment. Because you know what? Actually, a lot of things are changing. And I think actually this could have an effect on the used car market. But we're actually going to, now that John is here, John, can you see me and hear me okay? I can hear you. I can see you. Thank you for joining us. Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, we have John Possumato, CEO of DriveItAway, joining us via Zoom video meeting. John, thank you so much for joining the show. Please say hello to the audience and let us know what is going on. Oh, hang on. I screwed up. Thank you, Keith. You know what? I had your audio off. I've done this before. John, I am so sorry. I'm going to ask you to reintroduce yourself. We now have our audio, and I apologize. I'm humbly embarrassed. I've done that before. John, welcome to the show. Please say hello and let us know what is going on with car subscription.
Oh, all right. You mean you didn't hear that intro? Well, yeah. Maybe I'll make it better this time.
Yeah,
how's that?
Take two.
All right, perfect. So I'm going to talk a little bit about car subscriptions. They're not all that complicated. Subscriptions, car sharing, it's all just a form of rental, really, that's been around, I believe, since 1905, when someone took a Ford and rented it out. But there is a layer of technology, and there is an incredible growth curve coming down the road with opportunities for people in the business. So hopefully I'm going to go through a little bit of what I did at Used Car Week and explain, first off, the why we should all listen to this. Why is there growth? And then kind of what is it? And then the how folks can get involved. But it isn't really all that complicated. Again, this is a new term for what we've been doing forever with a layer of technology to make it a whole lot easier and more scalable.
In fact, we've already got a good question. Car rental remarketed as subscription. That's one of the things is that when I first heard you talking, I'm thinking, yeah, he's like multi-layering this thing, right? It's like a multi-layered cake, and you get a full slice, and you're like, oh my gosh, I got the mint and the strawberry. All right.
It's not all that complicated.
I know, that's the thing. It's not. And so the second time I heard you talk, I was like, yeah, now it's almost like, hey, you know what it makes me think of? When you see the Cybertruck, you're like, what is going on? What did he do to trucks?
Yeah, sort of. Yep, it is. There's a layer of technology involved, right? But it is just, partial use of a vehicle, right? What's partial use of a vehicle or temporary use of it? It's a rental. So if we call this all rental, I think people understand it a lot better. But you'll hear the term car sharing, right? You'll hear subscription, and you hear these terms, but again, it's a variation of a theme that we've been doing for a very long time.
And here's another one: rent to own leasing, right?
Yep.
Question marks. And so to simplify, car subscription, hopefully, I hope I get this right. Car subscription is just very short term car rental and maybe a path to ownership.
Yeah, absolutely. And the word subscription has been used a lot in the industry, I think, because the manufacturers came out with what they called subscriptions, which were really monthly rentals or monthly leases. And they let you switch around vehicles. But what we found is there's a lot more demand on the other side of the market. That's usually for a high income, high demographic, right? We found that there's a lot more demand on the opposite side, that there's a lot of folks that really want to get in a vehicle but probably don't have enough down payment.
Yeah,
and so
that's
you can
a lot
use
of
that
people.
same yep, you can use that same rental technique so that they can pay the down payment in increments through a rental, right? And then when they reach that level of down payment, switch into ownership. So that's sort of a rent to own. I mean, people have heard buy here, pay here. They've heard lease here, pay here. This is sort of a rent here, pay here. But again, where there's a tiny slice that we found of the population with a big income that wants the convenience of switching but paying a lot of money for it, there is a massive number of people that are subprime that might have a little credit challenge, right? Down payment challenge, right? And those folks are very easily can get into a rental situation, call it a subscription, call it a rental, call it car sharing. It's all really car rental, right? And get in an ownership position, where they couldn't before.
One of the things I like about the term subscription, and I think it's what threw me off at first, right? Because I'm thinking of software as a service. I'm subscribing to something monthly, as you were saying. But when presented with the idea that, let's say you are a family, and let's say you're a business, you work at a company Monday through Friday, you need that sedan or the Jag or the BMW, and on the weekends you want to take the family camping and you want a Durango. To be unable to make that choice, I could see many situations where that flexibility of choice, that's just one of the categories that gets us into some of these new models and ways of thinking. Which is not exactly, I don't think that's exactly what we're talking about tonight, but it's the flexibility of future availability through technology that leads us down this path of there's a lot to talk about.
Yeah, exactly. When you think about it, I mean, that kind of switching was always available in rental, but when technology caught up inside of an app, it became much, much easier to do, right? You can basically do everything in the app: collections, payment, pre-planning, switching. So that's where it became very, very easy. I mean, think about it this way. Not only in the longer term, but the shorter term in car sharing, right? Before there was an app, imagine renting a car for an hour, right? I mean, it would be almost more paperwork than it would take up the hour to rent, right?
Totally.
So, but do it in an app, it happens very quickly. Then, of course, you can use technology to get in the vehicle through the app, so you don't have to worry about handing over the keys. Everything's done electronically, contracting. That's where the layer of technology has changed, sort of the fundamental concept of rental. But again, it's all really rental. You call it subscription, call it car sharing. It's all really rental. But with the facilitation and technology of an app, you can do things you couldn't do before, right? Flip side is you can get a vehicle for 5 days and then switch around on that 7th or 8th day, right? You can do that very easily within an app. The money changes hands, everything's done. Again, the paperwork without the app, without the technology, it would have been prohibitive to do that. Now it's not that prohibitive. Now you can do everything right within. In fact, when we do the rental for ride sharing with a path to ownership, those folks are paying in. I mean, they may take a car for 7 months, right? But they take it in 2 or 3 day increments and literally just re-up every 2 or 3 days, because doing a monthly subscription for $1,000 or $1,500, they might not have the cash to do that, right? But 2 or 3 days for $50 or $75, that's a piece of cake, right? Well, imagine before, if it was the old way of processing a rental. Again, the paperwork alone would kill you. Now it's all turnkey within an app. It can be done with a keystroke.
What? By the way, this ELD turkey. Hey, by the way, happy Thanksgiving, everybody. Okay, ELD turkey goes away. I do want to ask you. So what do you think was the year of the app? Because it's interesting to think that the app is the pivot upon which this fulcrum of change occurred. Is it 2015?
A little earlier than that. I look at it this way, right? Maybe a little over 10 years ago, right? What were the two prescripts that your parents always told you? One was do not get in a car with strangers, right? And
Oh,
a
yeah.
little bit later than that,
That's right.
that's been around for 50 years. Maybe about 20 years ago, it was do not meet alone somebody for the first time that you only met on the internet, right? And think about Uber and Lyft, right? You're violating both of those. You're getting in somebody you only met on the internet, and you're getting in a stranger's car. So, I mean, I think
Three
that
times a day.
at least in our business in automotive, it was around 2011 or 12 or so, right? When Uber and Lyft came in with an app, and people literally started changing patterns. It changed everything, right, at that point.
I was a late adopt. I don't know if I heard of it until maybe 2013, maybe 2014. I'll say I heard of it in 2013, and I was probably with everybody else. You know, the Cybertruck is ugly. There's no way. And then maybe a year later, I wasn't the initiator. I ended up in an Uber, and then talking to the Uber driver, I'm like, "Oh, this is fantastic." And suddenly, my eyes were open. And I'm like, oh, this makes total sense. This is better than any taxi. I think that's what I said to people. Better than any taxi I've ever been in.
Yeah, exactly. And the level of service was so low, and they came in, and now the level of service got higher. But I'll update sort of that story and analogy to it. I was with one of our big dealers last week, and he told the story extremely well. Why is he doing this? Why is he doing, the rental for ride sharing? And I mean, this is a guy that really devoted everything. I mean, he's got a big showroom devoted to it and everything. And he started with the fundamentals, and you ask him why, right? And his why was very interesting. He said, I'm a car dealer, right? I have two daughters in college right now, right? Now they're in metro colleges in city environment. I want to give them cars, right? I want to give them new cars. It's not going to cost them anything for the car. They both turned me down, right? They both would much rather, instead of worrying about parking and everything, use an Uber or Lyft to get to where they're going.
Right.
And he said, that caused me to think, right? He said, look, I don't think the car usage, in fact, statistics show that car usage is not going to go down. It's going to go up. But the number of vehicles will be reduced. And if I don't get in this market somehow to service these vehicles and to get in this market, right, a piece of it is going to go away. And what he said best was, if you talk to older people, they'll always dismiss it as, hey, this is a younger thing. And when they get older, the patterns are going to change. He said, I said that about my mother in Facebook. She's 85 years old. I can't get her off Facebook, right?
That's right.
It was 10 years ago or 12 years ago. Now it was a kid's thing. You won't see anybody on it, right?
That's right.
So he said, look, that caused me to just take a step back and say, all right, how can I get into this new wave of mobility? Because I need to be in it. Because, ironically enough, there's more money to be made for automotive people in this industry than less. Because when you put more miles on fewer vehicles, there's just more to do. There's more to transport. There's more to service. There's more to everything, right? But you got to kind of change that model, something that you've been doing a long time, to cents per mile versus, straight one profit, one sale, right? And that's kind of where it is. And the app and the technology just facilitated this dramatically because it made it much easier to do things like subscriptions and to do things like short-term car sharing and to do things like rent-to-own. I mean, rent-to-own's been around forever, but when you've got the cumbersome, kind of tactic of a physical piece of paper and physically having to go re-up and not being able with a keystroke to re-rent, you've got a whole bunch of moving parts and friction that really, inhibits anything catching on, right? Same analogy with Uber and Lyft. Once you have an app and you hit the button and the guy's there and you don't have to worry about any cash, all of a sudden it becomes very easy.
Yeah,
it's very,
that's
very
awesome.
like it.
And that's okay. So you've got a couple. Number one, in your app, you want to make it just so easy for the customer to get into a car, right?
Exactly.
How do you do that? How do you make that? Seems like a lot of moving parts. I mean, right? We've already got a question about insurance. How do you do that?
Well, it's all automated inside the app. The customer does what they usually do, right? Which is, I want to pick the car I want to rent, or I want to pick the car I want to rent to own, or I want to pick the vehicle I want to subscribe to. I go, I find it, I find the spec on it, right? I hit the button, the price is there, the insurance price is there, monthly on a subscription, daily on a rental, right? And I literally hit a keystroke, right? Pay a number of days in advance, or in a subscription, I might pay weekly in advance. And it's all done for me. I basically reserve it and I pick up my vehicle. Now, one thing, Jay, that's very interesting, and this is a phenomenon that we see again and again, right? You've got a lot of dealers focused on e-commerce buying a car online.
Oh yeah, my gosh.
And it doesn't quite work that way. It works where a lot of the transaction happens online, but you never, or very, very rarely, get somebody to commit online. They always want to get to the store and actually drive and kick the tires, particularly for a used vehicle. Well, in a subscription or in a rental or in a rent-to-own, that isn't the case. People don't buy vehicles online, but they do rent vehicles online. And when it's an open-ended contract, right, one dealer said, look, this is kind of like an extended test drive, sort of, right? And it is. Yeah. So that transaction will happen all online, all in-app, and that person will pick up the vehicle. And the difference is there's an option to buy or an option to stick with a vehicle, but it's not a requirement. And so all of the transaction happens online. But when you look at straight e-commerce to purchase a vehicle, there's a stopping point. There's a point at which I have to drive the vehicle first. Well, the rental is driving the vehicle, and it's non-committed. You don't have to buy it. And so we've got a lot of folks that will actually just do everything online. And think about it. Rentals happened online, way quicker than anything else did because, again, it was a rental. We're just adding the option potentially to buy or to subscribe longer term there.
So it's the long-term commitment that stops a lot of people from finishing it online.
Exactly. And I'll throw one other use case in for subscriptions. And this is a phenomenon that we discovered and hasn't been talked about a lot. I wrote an article next month. It's coming out in Automotive Fleet on it, right? There are a lot of side gigs, small businesses out there, right? A lot of them. 45% of the working population is doing something else other than their day job, which that was a bank rate statistic, which blew me away.
Wow.
Right. So in a lot of these small businesses, I want to put the vehicle that I drive, I want to write it off in the company, bottom line. Well, try to do that as a small business and get funded for a lease or a purchase, right? The standard answer is no, unless you sign personally. Well, maybe I don't want to sign personally, right? I got plenty of cash flow today. I don't know what business is going to be like next month or next quarter, but I got plenty of cash flow. Think of the usage of subscription there, where I can get everything on a credit card, on a company credit card, write it all off, and I've got my insurance, I've got my maintenance, I've got my monthly fee, right? There's where we see an explosion of subscription, right? Versus where the manufacturers came in and said, individuals do this. And the individual came back and say, well, wait, why would I pay that much? It's an average of double. Why don't I just buy, and the demographic they were looking at was very high, so why don't I just buy 2 cars if I want to switch, right? Where a smaller business, you're hitting a bunch of things. You're not signing personally. You're getting bought immediately on a credit card because it's monthly. It's completely comprehensive in one payment that you can write off, right? And if business turns down next month, maybe I downgrade to a different vehicle, right? Or maybe I get 5 company vehicles, but I downgrade to 2 with absolutely no liability like I would have if I purchased vehicles or leased vehicles.
Again, commitment. I can't stop using the word commitment. I mean, there's so many reasons why you need that flexibility.
Yep.
So you have the flexibility, you don't have to commit, and therefore, given the flexibility, you're more willing to take a chance. What's the downside for the dealer? I mean, I guess the upside is now they can get customers they couldn't get before.
Yeah, exactly. There really isn't, and this is what I go into in detail. There isn't a downside. In fact, if you look at most of the new mobility options today, outside of straight ride sharing, right? Dealers have the biggest advantage, and this is what I keep preaching. It's 100% true. Dealers have the most competitive advantage of being in all these businesses, right? Retail car sharing, what they call free floating car sharing, rent to own for ride sharing, right? Subscription. This all belongs inside the dealership. Why? Because they've got the lowest cost of the asset. They got the lowest cost to maintain the asset. They've got the customer that's said to be migrating to these new things, right, in the future. So they already have that customer. And so all they have to do is step up and offer these things in in increments, right? They don't have to dedicate a lot of resources to it, but all they have to do is massage into this, right? And they've got the biggest advantage with no downside. Again, when you look at the profit in a cents per mile basis, they make way more money in this than they do with a straight sale, right? So I got to tell you one pushback, because I do a lot of dealer things.
Oh yeah,
right?
I was thinking
I was
there's got to be
one dealer,
some.
and I was identifying renting to rideshare drivers, and I was identifying that, look, you can take a $10,000 asset, give or take, right, and put it out for $35 a day, all day long, everywhere in the country, right, and have way more demand than supply, and be pulling down roughly $1,000 gross a month on that $10,000 vehicle. And one dealer said, well, I run a used car department, and there's nobody in here that can't turn a vehicle and make a $2,000 gross every 60 days on their inventory, right? And of course, my immediate response was, yeah, how would you like to make the $2,000 gross every 60 days, but actually keep the asset, right? Which is exactly what you're doing in this situation. So you're making way more money than straight sale. You just got to think of it a little bit differently. And again, the other pushback was, yeah, but I don't want to be in the rental business, because the dealer's thinking lots of paperwork, lots of collection, lots of all of those moving parts. I got to follow the tickets and everything.
Right.
And of course, the technology, the app takes care of all of that. So everything's done on the app. So basically, what that dealer is doing at the end of the day is handing over the keys, making sure the person is who he says he is, right? And then starting that relationship, or what they might want to buy, or what they want to get permanently, or what they want to switch into, and what they do best, building that relationship so they keep that core customer, right? As opposed to all of the stuff that used to happen, manually and had a lot of friction. And there's where the technology has boosted the business prospect dramatically, right? Most of what's happening nuts and bolts is nothing that, again, it's all car rental. It happened before. But the technology makes it very, very easy, right? It's sort of like, Domino's Pizza, right? When they came out with an app, it was much, much easier to order pizza. Their sales exploded. Everything worked. So
Right.
it's
You're
where
right.
the technology
I like that
comes in,
app.
but it's almost in the background. This is what makes everything work efficiently, so you can do it to scale.
Right, so not only do you have the functionality, but also as the user, when the Domino's pizza's cooking, I can see something. I know what's going on. I'm not like, what are they doing over there? Right, so you have that visibility. Well, I was gonna say too, I'm sure in the beginning, right, if a dealer or some kind of facility in that case, they see this service and they're thinking, well, it's just another competitor. And you're saying, no, it's not. Actually, you can use this as part of your dealership offering to get new customers.
Absolutely, and that's where it belongs. Again,
It's really interesting.
in terms of competitive advantage and lowest cost of production, the dealer's there, right? No independent car sharing, no independent rent to own can come up and do that, right? It's just a matter of the dealer taking control. And what's interesting, Jay, if you go in Europe, because it's much more, lots of people concentrated in one spot, dealers are way more advanced, at least on the car sharing end and getting into car sharing, than they are here, right? Because they see that, look, they're in the prime spots, right? They're servicing vehicles, right? They have plenty of vehicles, and they have plenty of people, right? Willing to pay them for it. So they're moving on the car sharing end faster than we are in the United States, right? But the underlying point is, if you look at the competitive advantage, dealers have it, right? They're the ones that should be operating these businesses, because they already have everything they need, and competitors would have to rebuild that at a very high fixed dollar.
It's interesting. I know there's more than one person right now wondering, what does this have to do with car shipping? So you and I were talking about this, and I talk about this a lot at Used Car Week with OEMs, dealers, and auctions, is that it seems like everybody's looking at changing business models. And since car haulers are in the business of hauling cars, when business models change, I say pay attention. I say this is an opportunity. Just as you say to the dealer, this is another opportunity to expand your business. I'm saying to the car shipper, this is another opportunity to not stare at a wall with numbers on it, hoping the numbers go up. What if you talk to your dealership or other future business opportunity and say, I heard about this crazy car subscription thing. What are you moving cars with this? What is happening with your inventory? Because what we're really talking about, what the common ground here is? Movement of inventory. What do you think the impact on the inventory is of a let's say a busy dealership that is involved with these types of alternative business models of the future? What do you think that impact is on their inventory? Do you know any of that info?
Well, yeah, you have the same needs, right? Of getting the right inventory to the right folks, right? That doesn't change, right? Whether I do a straight sale or whether I do a subscription model or rental for rideshare, right? In fact, it's more necessary when I do subscription and rental for rideshare because that person searching on the app, they know exactly what they want, right? So that need to get the right vehicle in the right spot, that piece doesn't change, right?
At the right time.
How that customer pays for that vehicle, that's a different story, but that doesn't matter. Now, let me give you one really interesting phenomena that we're seeing, right? When you talk about ride sharing, right? And the most efficient vehicle to use for ride sharing is a couple-year-old vehicle sourced by a dealership, right? And the more dealerships we get in, the more that's a good thing. It really doesn't pay to use a new or slightly new vehicle, right? The only thing that the Hertz's and Avis is supplying to the rideshare, industry, right, are vehicles and the ability to plan where those vehicles should be and when, right? So if I'm one of the rideshare companies and I know in the first quarter in Atlanta I need an extra 5,000 vehicles, at least if I order a new vehicle through a rental company, I know it will be there. But it's very inefficient dollars and cents wise, right? It's just like, look, if you can fill that gap with a 2-year-old vehicle, everybody makes money. If you do it with a new vehicle, the depreciation kills you, right? So think about this. Think about masses of vehicles being moved to the right spot, pre-planning at the right time to be used in rideshare rental, right? And, the rideshare guys know where they need vehicles ahead of time, and they know what types of vehicles are perfect, right? But when we're dealing with used vehicles in particular, how do you get them all in the right spot at the right time?
Yeah.
They're probably not going to be dispersed the right way. Right?
It does sound complicated. And
Right.
also in your app, you're connected to inventory. Folks can shop for the type of car they want. How does that tell us more about as a user searching for a car and then getting into a car? Is that all on your website? This is Apple, Android. Tell me more about that.
It's all in app. You just download it in the Apple Store or the Google Play Store,
Okay.
and all the inventory is in there. And a dealer can do a lot of things, right? They can have vehicles that are immediately available for rent or subscription, and then we've got a section that says pick your dream car. And they can put vehicles there that could be available, but maybe they're not titled for rental yet. Or maybe they have one of something, right? But they can get others, right? And that's where they can load a lot of inventory and a lot of prospective inventory. We can even tie it into, we've actually done this where we've tied it into auctions, right? And have that vehicle listed as well.
Auction.
Now, again, it's got to be moved from the auction to that dealer, to that customer who hit the button and say, yep, that's the one I want. Now, in the pick your dream car section, it says, look, it may take up to 3 days or 4 days to get this vehicle to you. And that's okay, as long as the customer knows it in advance. In the immediate section, it's here. This vehicle's available. But then I've got a deeper inventory that could be available. And that's where the customer, the consumer, can take a look at a lot of things. But that's where maybe the transport comes in as well, because maybe that vehicle is not on my lot, or I have a lot of multi-franchise, multi-rooftop dealers, right? That span states, right? Maybe the one they're looking at is an inventory, but it's an inventory like 500 miles away. Right? Well, I know if I've got a customer that booked it, no problem, I'll get that vehicle, but I've got to be able to do that, and that's where there's opportunity here, and that's where it all ties into transport again, because in not every case, in fact, it's going to be unusual if every vehicle is exactly in the right spot where every consumer wants it to be, right?
And I think Carvana, I know some people say Carvana flatbeds. They're not car haulers. Well, I'm seeing more than one car on a auto transport unit at one time. I know that, again, that's a wedge trailer. That's 3 cars on a wedge. But the point is that at some point it is auto transport, and I know Carvana spends a lot of energy trying to get that car into that spot for that customer at that time. I mean, they have a huge logistics operation for that. But what I want to really get into, I saw that Rob and Keith are talking a lot, and the clarification between peer-to-peer versus dealer-to-peer.
Okay. Yep. And again, that's an easy concept too. Peer-to-peer is neighbor to neighbor, right? It's I have a car in my driveway, and you want to use it today, and there are apps for that, right? So it's just exchanging, right? Vehicle to vehicle, peer to peer, right? And there's companies out there that will sort of force you to have the right technology inside the vehicle so you can actually do it in app and you don't have to exchange keys. And there's Turo where you exchange keys, right? But Turo is a peer to peer. There's a few others that are peer to peer out there. We do only dealer to customer. So we only cater to commercial, because our whole thing is, look, we're the dealers, outlet for shared mobility. So we want to be everything having to do with shared mobility for that dealer to get to the public, right? So they'll have the inventory, they'll set the terms, but we like to call ourselves the Swiss Army knife of shared mobility, right? If someone wants to do a subscription from a dealer, it's in there. If they want to do rideshare rental, it's in there. If they want to do regular car sharing, it's in there, right? But that's a business to consumer. And we believe that's where the scale and that's where the volume is, right? There'll always be a peer-to-peer network out there, but the volume comes from the business, right? The volume comes from a dealer that has lots of vehicles on the lot and is in the business of serving customers every day, right? But that's our mission statement. We won't do peer-to-peer. The platform can handle it, but we won't do it.
Well, and you've also got issues reconditioning, remarketing, and right, you've got situations where I actually am so curious about the peer-to-peer. I come up with ideas of how that could go wrong. Like I think of like the birds laying around in parking lots and streets and in cities, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't know what's going to happen. So it's great to have that clarification, and I mean you're spot on. Seems like a ton of reasons why, in your case, dealer to peer is a better business model, and when you explain it to the dealership, why it's beneficial for them to add it to their list of menu items.
And the other end of this too is that, particularly for rideshare rental, most of those folks, I like to say that the desire to rideshare, the turnover is monumental. People rideshare intermittently. They'll do it between jobs. They'll do it, during holidays to get a little extra money. But for our clientele, the desire to own a vehicle, right? That's sustainable. That's permanent. And so only dealers can sell vehicles. So only dealers can really craft that rental so that incrementally that customer's gaining a down payment. We have free credit repair on our app. After the 7th day in a rental, someone has a one-on-one credit counselor to repair credit, right? And so only a dealer can actually do that rent to own, that path to ownership with a rental. That's really required out there. NADA quoted a university study that said that, look, there's a section, a demographic section that doesn't have vehicles that has been shut out of like economic growth over the last 30 years. Right?
Yeah.
And there's actually a movement in Ohio called No Job, No Car, No Car, No Job, to try to get creative ideas to get cars to people. And this is it. The ride sharing industry has done a great job of providing on-demand employment and incremental revenue to actually use that for that person to own a vehicle and do other things and have the freedom of owning a vehicle. And only dealers can do that. You're very rarely going to find a peer-to-peer that's in the business of selling their vehicle. No, it's I'm using that vehicle. It serves a big purpose, right? I'm using that vehicle when I'm not using it and making money for it. It's kind of like an Airbnb for cars, right? But that doesn't solve that person's problem that wants to buy a vehicle. And there are a lot of folks like that out there.
Yeah, no, and that is, that's a really neat idea to be able, it's like outreach. It's like community outreach at that point. It's pretty amazing. I wanted to, Rob, what were you going to say?
I was going to say too, there's a lot of, and we're in basically kind of economic good time, so this is mass, but there's a lot of screwed up credit out there. I have one stat that I use in a presentation, and the manufacturers, the OEMs, are always wondering about millennials. They're not buying cars. They're not buying cars at the same level that the generation
They don't want
before.
cars, right? That's what they say.
Yeah. It's not a matter of not want. You realize that people under 30, I believe the statistic is 40%, have a FICO score 620 or below. Right? They can't buy cars in a lot of cases.
That runs off. Yeah, I know. They want a car, but they got a fuzzy score.
There was an article in the Wall Street Journal, too, that said that for the first time ever, how the ownership is flat, and the new generation coming up is renting. And even if they're making six figures, they're renting because student debt is so high they've screwed up their credit, and they can't do anything but rent. Right?
Housing market has the same problem.
Yeah, so if you want to sell to millennials, you probably do it in a format of a subscription or a rent to own and get them into that, because in a lot of cases, that's where the screwed up credit is.
They're going to need house subscriptions.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
Somebody's going to figure this out. Note is, hang on, let me make a note over here. House subscription. Now, it's interesting. Rob, there's a lot of great comments going back and forth with Rob and Keith. Rob is saying how Carvana's trucks deliver end-to-end user, and they use regular transport to get the cars from each location. That is true. And so, in this case, again, you may have that last mile flatbed delivery to get the car to the dealer that's going to go to the new user through DriveItAway. But in large inventory and capacity moves from city to city, this is where an auto shipper could be moving cars. Yeah, hey, what are you moving? Oh, I'm moving, 9 new Cybertrucks. What are you moving? Oh, I got about 100 car subscriptions to move this week because the thing's blowing up because I saw it on Auto Transport Intel.
Absolutely. Okay. I love
it. So, hey, speaking of, you know what we're going to do? I think here's what we're going to do. We're going to take a quick break. And after the break, we're going to bring in Elena and Keith to join us in the live panel and keep this thing going. So, you good for another segment?
I'm good. I'm ready. I can do this all night. I love this.
Yeah, this is fun, man. That's what we do. It's Tuesday Nights Live. All right, well, stick around, John. Guys, stick around. We're going to be right back. IATA stands for Independent Auto Transporters Alliance. Visit the website, IATA.biz. The mission, driving auto transport business together. Drivers, managers, owners, carriers, networking and sharing best practices. IATA provides access to suppliers with discounts. That's right, discounts. IATA, always working to make the car shipping industry better. IATA, something we can all be proud of. If you're a carrier and you're interested in joining IATA, visit the website, IATA.biz. Click on Become a Member. Follow the register and checkout process. Got questions? Click Contact Us on the website. All right, welcome back to Auto Transport Intel. If you are just joining now, you made it just in time for the second half of the DriveItAway interview segment. Let's do this. Okay, we have Keith joining us now. Keith, can you see us and hear us okay?
Yes, I can. Can you hear me okay?
I can see you. I can hear you. And Keith, great stuff going on in the live chat.
Yeah.
Is interesting, right?
Yeah.
I love the live chat.
Yeah. It's just trying to chime in on some of the things they were asking and be attentive to their questions. And there's one question there I think John can address better than I can.
Perfect. What is that question?
It's about the leasing agreement possibility for Ohio, where a dealership might need a rental or leasing agreement. John, being the attorney, can answer that best.
Well, there are a lot of state variations, and I'm telling you, it's sort of up in the air in general, because a lot of what we do falls under car sharing, which has a different regulation than car renting or car leasing. And I believe only Maryland has actually segmented and said, okay, car sharing is a separate animal. So I mean, right now in a car sharing environment, you can use a rental agreement, and I believe there isn't really with impunity there. If you call it a lease, it's a separate regulation entirely. So, I mean, state by state, it does vary a bit. I'm not too familiar with Ohio, except I mean, I know that we can do our rideshare rental there under a car sharing arrangement. But subscription, whether that falls into a lease or not, that I'm not sure of. That I would have to check.
Interesting. Okay, so that was that question. What I was doing is I was making sure Elena got the email invite correctly. What else did you see going on in the live chat, Keith? Is there anything else you found interesting about any questions or issues raised?
Yeah, I think I was trying to address. They had talked about the rental agreement, and I was letting them know, no penalty, because these are prepaid rentals. And the way that our application works is, and we recommend like a 48-hour rental period to start off the rental agreement. And then that can change once someone's in the vehicle to maybe they want to go to a daily rental or they want to go weekly. Regardless of what that is, each one of those is considered a rental cycle, whether it's 1 day, 48 hours, 36 hours, a week. At the end of every rental cycle, they are then automatically prompted to either renew the cycle, and if they don't manually do it, it automatically renews if they have not turned the vehicle in. And on the renew, it automatically generates an entirely new rental agreement for that cycle. So every cycle has its own rental agreement that pertains to it and it alone. And that helps in a cornucopia, as we're at Thanksgiving. I think of cornucopia all the time, right on the table
Wow,
with
that was
everything, right? That's
amazing.
cornucopia of things. So a cornucopia of benefits to the dealership, the owner of the vehicle, and to the renter. One of those benefits to the dealer is if someone turns in the vehicle and it's 3 weeks later and they get some citations in the mail, guess what? All they do is attach those rental agreements for all those specific dates to those citations, and they send them back to the citation department, and they're reissued to the renter of record per the rental agreements. And so they just write it. They don't even have to worry about it, because that was one of the first questions we had is, what do I do about parking tickets I get in the mail later on down the road and this and that? And the solution is very simple. Yes, there's some manual labor involved of going, okay, I got to take the citation, attach the rental agreement to it, and send it off. But you have literally a rental agreement that says on that date and that time, Keith was the renter of that vehicle. And then they turn around and issue me the parking citation personally.
Wow. And that is very, and I want to talk about some more law stuff in a minute. But hey, we want to welcome Elena from Side Gig Central onto the show. Elena, thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Jay. Thanks for having me on your show here. Very excited.
Wow. Yeah. Thank you so much. By the way, I was listening to, I think it was episode 6 with the Uber guy on your show. Listen to that segment. Yeah, that was a really interesting segment. And
good.
I found a lot of similarities. Well, some similarities to auto shipping in that this market also is saturated. And so it's tougher to get the good rates that we're looking for as just, on the surface. I mean, as we're waiting for that gold bar to come in to save us through the whole day's expenses. And, it doesn't come in every day.
Yeah, and I think what's happening now in rideshare is kind of interesting because it is ubiquitous now within our culture. Like Uber is a verb now, right? If you're going to the airport, I'm going to go in Uber. I think we talked about this at Used Car Week.
We're going to Uber, that's right.
Right?
Yes.
Yeah, we're going to Uber.
Yes.
I'm going to go. I'm going to, or I'm going to Lyft. So I'm going to, so everybody is so used to, and I'm sure John covered this a little bit earlier in the show, but everybody is so used to just pulling out the app. Okay, here I go. But then what does that mean for the driver, for the side gig entrepreneur who is relying on this plug and play for their side gig cash, or, it's a completely different ball game than going back to like 2000, 2014, 2015, like that was like open season. Now everybody knows about it. Everybody has either tried it once or, it's a completely different landscape now. So yeah, that episode number 6 is a really good one because a lot of his feedback has to go along with the flexibility of what rideshare is, right? And the whole legislation thing that's going back and forth. So there's a lot of content.
That's
there.
right. The AB5, that's a big part. In fact, that is, every time I hear AB5 now, I just kind of think doom and gloom, like
right?
Darth Vader, darkness.
It is Darth Vader.
In fact, I'm trying to figure out, who does this thing benefit? Companies?
Yeah.
I don't know. No, it's not companies. Because now they got everybody as employees that was an independent contractor, right?
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you what.
Let
me jump in for a second. In the state of New Jersey, right, they're fining Uber $650 million because they're reclassifying those employees. So in that case, it's the state tax coffers. I think maybe that big. Yeah.
It's the taxation there.
Right.
They're the ones
the government wins. Yes. Okay, we'll just be taking that. Thank you.
Car you have in the background.
Yeah, right. That's why. I mean, I gotta have it.
That's awesome.
Well, thank you very much. Well, and I've got some. I think I've had that thing on my show since like the beginning. So for 100 episodes, I've been. I don't even have to look. I just see. I can just get to it.
I like
it. So, what I was gonna say though, it's almost like what is it? Zoom. What's the legal Zoom? Legal, right? Legal Zoom. There we go. Right. Legal. This thing is we're gonna have like Legal Zoom on steroids app, because we're gonna have all these miniature legal problems like you were talking about, Keith. Oh, it's not my citation. I wasn't the guy 3 days ago. The legal and this, you hear this with autonomous vehicles. How are they going to figure out whose fault it is when the autonomous vehicle crashes? Anyways, the amount of legal ramifications. Kids, if you don't know what to be a lawyer.
But I'll tell you what, with autonomous, it's worse than that. You realize there's no federal regulation. It's all state. So what does that autonomous vehicle do when it's crossing state lines? Now it's like, wait a second, I can't go that direction. I can only stay within state A. I can't get into state B. Now that is an absolute quagmire.
Whoa. That'll be, then you just have the car kind of start to go on the state line.
You can't you can't go past state lines. You're like, wait a second.
Wow.
It stops like it hits a glass wall.
Right. Yeah. Well, I'm picturing like a mouse hitting the edge of the aquarium or whatever. So here we are. I mean, we're live on a Tuesday night. We've got time to kill. We're looking at, we got 4 to 8 hours until it's just turkey madness. So we have a little bit of time to talk about why it's so exciting to be a part of Drive It Away. I know you guys are excited. I've talked to all of you, and I mean, that was great seeing you at Used Car Week. I know you're excited to be a part of something great, and you're in a niche, and you are spreading the word. What do you do tomorrow?
I was so one of the things you were talking about, the conversation that Rob and I were having.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I had mentioned to him and chimed in on was, because this is transport focused, right?
Yeah.
There are on the books 12 million off-lease vehicles available on the market in 2019.
Wow.
These are low mileage, like new vehicles in the used market. So areas are flooded. Like out here, if I want a BMW 3 Series that's 2 years old. Oh, there's 1,000 of them to choose from, right? Wow. So it's just pushing the price way down.
Yeah.
So we're an avenue for dealerships to mitigate this huge bubble that's going to pop with all of these off-lease vehicles. But now, as we have implemented this piece where we have this live market for e-commerce, and they can go, okay, do I just want a vehicle that I can use and abuse for Uber and Lyft? Or do I actually want a proper vehicle that, I'm going to use Uber and Lyft to get into the vehicle and to maybe help me buy the vehicle. But my end goal is to not do Uber and Lyft full time, and John talks about this a little bit, how they're more, it's a casual thing to get into the vehicle. But I want actual vehicle ownership. I want to use this as my personal ride. This is where transport comes in, as we talk about picking your dream car and being, okay, there's so many to choose from, and we have all of these dealerships throughout all the United States that are in our platform, and someone can look around and peruse, kind of like almost, if I dare say, CarMax, right? But in this, but it's Airbnb for CarMax is kind of what we are, right? To look at a massive inventory, and you meet these certain requirements, and yeah, we can arrange the transport of your dream car to you or to the local dealership within your vicinity or your region to facilitate the transaction to get you on this path to ownership through a daily rental process. And we have a lot of great business models lined up, and dealerships have autonomy, right? So they can decide that with a certain customer, I'll apply half of the rental percentage towards equity in the vehicle. Or if they stay in it for a certain amount of time, I'll give them 100% of the rent towards equity if they end up buying that vehicle.
Right.
But this is use it or lose it. This is not, I build equity, and now that I got $5,000 equity and I put a ton of miles on this car, I'm going to take that $5,000 and move it over into that car that has no miles on it. That's not the way it works. It's that car.
Right. It's that
You're building equity in that car.
And
which we've also
yeah,
noticed that when you dangle that carrot, they treat the car better.
right.
They don't treat it like a rental. What's the old saying about a 4x4 and a rental? 4x4 can go anywhere, but a rental goes everywhere, or something to that.
Yeah, I've heard that
right?
one.
They treat it because they got some skin in the game, right? So they start to treat it better.
And they do have equity. As a DriveItAway user, you're
they
building
build
equity.
that equity, and that is, there's many paths of this. We call it a path to ownership because,
I like that.
As in life, there are a lot of paths, and so we are able to customize a path per person, and the dealership is able to facilitate that, to within their comfort level. So with one person, it might be, I'll give you 50% of your rent goes towards equity. Another, it might be only 10%. Another, it might be 100%. Right? They get to barter and negotiate with them just like they would in a real sale deal, where they're going to negotiate and get that deal drawn out on the table in F&I. So this is R&I, basically. And so we can facilitate all that. And with those numbers, there is a massive amount of vehicles. And as John touched on, there is a massive amount of people that want vehicles, desire vehicles, need vehicles, just don't think there's a path to get them, and we can provide that.
And there really is. It's interesting. We don't talk. The people that can't get into a car are not the ones, that have the megaphone and can get the word out there. But there are a lot of people. I'm sure there are a lot of people that can't get into a car, and they want to. Right?
Yeah.
I don't know. Do you have some numbers on that, John?
Yeah, actually I do. 62% of the United States is subprime or below.
Right.
22% are of the vehicle buying is subprime, which means that there's like 2/3 of the folks that want vehicles can't get in them. Right. And this is what kind of pumps me up, because there's two things going on here, and it's a win-win across the board. One is moving the dealership, again, from a one profit, one sale to a cents per mile model into shared mobility. And how often do you get to transition something like that? It's a big shift, right, for the industry. So that's fun. But we're also leveraging the benefits of on-demand deployment that we never had before, but we have now with Uber and Lyft and other side gigs, but primarily Uber and Lyft, right? That this subprime buyer can leverage that on-demand income to now have a vehicle, right? With a path to ownership.
Right.
There's hundreds of thousands of folks that think they're shut out, and in fact would have been if there wasn't on-demand deployment of driving. But being able to leverage that both for the driver's benefit primarily, but also for the dealer's benefit of gaining a new loyal customer, right? One dealer told me And a lot of dealers feel this way is, look, I don't need any more 800 credit scores walking into the showroom. You would think that would be wonderful, but that's the toughest guy. They're not loyal, and for $25, they know what they've got on the walk down to the other dealership and do it. But if I can take somebody as a dealer who thinks they're shut out of the market and get them the first vehicle purchase, through this method, then there's a loyalty and a trust factor there that we really value, and word of mouth spreads. And we couldn't have done this 10 years ago because there wasn't on-demand employment 10 years ago, right? But there is, and now there's a layer of technology where all of the, like I said, the friction stuff can be in the app for the dealer, collections and everything, so that we can make all the parts work. And that's really fun, because how often do you get to be in a brand new section of an industry and get all the parts to work, right? And kind of get it to,
And that's what's exciting, right? That's the juice right there. That's what makes it exciting to be a part of Drive It Away. You guys are in a super niche, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And even in the rideshare case, the rideshare folks love it because now they've got a happier, sustainable driver, right? The problem is if someone doesn't have a vehicle and they're driving part-time, it's very difficult because they're mostly paying to pay for the vehicle if it's a perpetual rental. But once they get into an ownership position, now they've got way more freedom. And again, Lyft did a study, 91% of their drivers drive 20 hours or less. 86% drive 10 hours or less. So this is a part-time gig. But if you don't have a vehicle and perpetually are renting, it's very difficult to get out of the full-time nature of it. And that's the freedom of owning a vehicle really is the key.
By the way, so you can drive it away a car on a daily basis?
Yep, absolutely. I mean, you pay in increments of days, but the goal for all of the people that come to us is getting that ownership position.
Right. So exactly. So, but knowing that they can be in on a daily basis. There we go. So we take out the fear of the commitment issue. I'll never be able to uphold this thing. Okay, so I'm in for a day. Now I'm in for 2 days. Now I'm in for 3 days. And maybe I want to stop. Can I do that? Can I stop after 3 days?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You can stop whenever you want. And that's why the transaction all happens online, because there is, like you said before, there isn't that level of, hey, I'm committed to this if it doesn't work out, right?
Yeah, don't text me, right?
Yeah.
Don't text me, I'm not driving you anymore. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow, that is pretty amazing, right? Has that ever been available before? Where you could get a car for a few days? I mean, other than a rental, right? But
Yeah, other than a rental, and again, a rental, there was a lot of friction on both sides without the technology of an app involved, right? There's a lot of friction on the rental side. There's a lot of friction on the consumer side. This is very easy and quick. I mean, Jay, you could jump on the app, pick a vehicle right now, pick it up tomorrow morning or tonight, drive it a while, decide, you know what, this is not what I really wanted. I want to switch into something else. Switch into it on the app. So already it's all done. You basically just, pick up a different set of keys, and go on to the next one.
Then so you pay by credit card. What if you have terrible credit? You don't even have a credit card. Do you have an option?
If you have a debit or a credit card, you're fine. You can do it with a debit card.
Credit card.
Prepaid. We have a lot of. We have some people that have prepaid credit cards.
Really cool. Right. Yeah.
So to talk about just the security factor or sense of security for a dealer who's like, okay, who's driving my car and what's my security on it? We mandate, of course, that the GPS unit's on the vehicle, and it has a starter disruptor. And we have people that are on prepaid credit cards, and if their payment doesn't go through that day, the car doesn't start, and they call and they're like, hey, my car doesn't start. Well, the payment didn't go through. Let me put some money on that card real quick. Hold on. Boom. Okay, money's on the card. Boom, we run it. Car starts.
Dude, you were just making me think. Did your car just get repoed? No problem. Drive it away.
Exactly.
Is that crazy?
That works.
Dude,
yeah,
you could market that as like 10,000, 50,000 people in that situation.
Absolutely. That's
awesome.
This is, one of the scenarios that I like to run through in my mind and the gears and how they turn. And we talked about this was how many people come in on we have this big Thanksgiving's coming, right? It's Turkey Day.
Yeah.
And every dealership is marketing up the wazoo about the Thanksgiving Day sale. Come
Yes.
in, it's either 0 APR or 0 down or 0 this or whatever, right? And it gets people all hyped up. Oh man, I want this so bad. This is my Turkey Day gift, right? This is my Thanksgiving to myself or whatever it is. And they go into the dealership and they do the test drive, and the smell of that brand new car, which is really just the smell of glue that we all love, and because they're huffing the glue and it makes them all super high and excited, right? Because they're like, man, I love the new car smell.
You're making me
We
want to
all
go
know
to a
the new car
dealership.
smell. The new car smell is just you're huffing glue, right? So they're all like, "Woo! I can't wait! New car,
This is
new car!"
great.
Right?
Yeah.
Then they get into the F&I, and the
I'm
guy
just
goes,
gonna say
"Oh."
that.
They're like, "Man, you're
can't do
this close to qualifying, but unfortunately, to get into the car, we can't do 0 down. You actually are going to need 10% down, or you're going to need 20%
That
down.
is a
You're going to need a
terrible
substantial down,
Yes.
right?" And the person's like,
It's
"I don't have any
impossible.
down.
Yeah,
I don't have
impossible.
the down payment, unless my team wins today, maybe, but right."
Right.
so
Go Eagles.
right. So this is where Drive It Away could be that saving grace for somebody. Be like, well, okay, here's what we can do for you.
Yeah.
You can drive out today in your Thanksgiving ride through our Drive It Away program, because now we will build that down payment that you don't have today over the next, and let's say if you take this car in 30 days at 35, 40 bucks a day, 50, whatever it is that works, you'll have the down payment built up, and then we can finance you.
Dude,
how does that sound?
That's amazing.
And then they go, okay, I can drive out today, 50 bucks a day, building my down. Oh, great. I'm in. And now they drive, they're happy, they got the new car smell. Woo!
And they're back to the party. Yeah.
They're back.
Yeah.
My Thanksgiving Day.
That is
I
cool,
got the sale,
right?
And the dealer didn't lose a sale.
That's right.
They made that person's day. That person is going to share that with everybody else. So you're going to get tons of referral business for the dealership. They look like the hero. It's a win-win. Because in the end, if they got to take the car back, that you're charging enough to cover any sort of depreciation that's going to happen right out of the gate. Right now,
yeah,
that's kind of a little dream scenario that I have in my mind of how this really comes into play, where a dealership never tells anybody goodbye. No, everybody wins.
Yeah, no, that's a great point. And like Rob, he's in here. Is this something that we could report to their credit bureaus to help them rebuild their credit? And again, as we're talking about, I mean, it really is a great way to help somebody get into a car in a situation they can't otherwise get into. That's a lot of people. I mean, I know you have the statistic, but
we have a whole nother piece of this that we didn't even talk about, but you bring it up. But we are teamed up with Get Credit Healthy, and we offer any of our renters, after 7 days of rental, free credit rehabilitation as long as they stay renting a vehicle. So now it adds to that little piece of getting on the path to ownership with credit rehabilitation form. And because we're doing it, and it's not the dealership, it's 100% compliant. And Esquire John can chime in on that one.
Yeah, John, you were talking about this. Tell us more, please.
Yeah, this is very neat. So you'll see dealers have offered credit repair, right, and credit counseling. And most don't anymore because it is non-compliant. It's a violation. Many dealers have been sued for lots of money on a class action because by definition, it isn't free because you can't prove if you price and sell an item, based on the free credit repair, you can't prove that you didn't increase the price of that item, right? So by definition, it's non-compliant. So this is where I say it's great solving problems across the board, win-win. This is a win-win. So dealers find that this is really good to move vehicles, but they can't do it, right? Because it's not compliant. Well, Drive It Away is a platform, right? Dealer sets the prices. We don't sell anything, right? Dealer sets the prices. Dealer's setting the terms, but we're underwriting the free credit repair. So the customer gets the benefit of free credit repair. And they can do anything with that credit rehabilitation. One-on-one credit counseling, they can buy a house as easily as they can buy a car. right? But if they do buy a car from a dealer, it's 100% compliant because we don't set those prices. We don't set those terms, right? We're a platform for the dealer to set those terms. So here we've got compliance, and Get Credit Healthy knows, I mean, they've got compliance officers. Before we came along, they weren't in the car end of it. They were working for banks and mortgage companies to get people in houses. So it's a great credit repair program. We underwrite it. The customer wins. The dealer wins. Right? We facilitate ownership, and we're repairing credit. And this sounds corny, Jay, but we're doing really good things, right? We're doing good things for people, which really springboards with referrals and everybody feeling good, which is a good thing.
We're doing community service.
Community service.
Oh,
That's
man.
ridiculous.
Keith is hot tonight. He's got cornucopia and community service.
Keith, you are on it tonight.
That's there's some great opportunities here for social media magic. Right?
Yeah. Sure.
Yeah. In fact, you've got one right there. Yeah. Are you having your turkey and you got your cornucopia of community service win-win? Wow. Pass the gravy.
There you go. Or the cheese. Pass the cheese.
It's funny as we keep talking about Thanksgiving. I think it's making me hungry.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm getting hungry for turkey and stuffing and mashed potatoes.
John is always hungry.
Cranberry sauce. I'm ready.
Right.
Absolutely.
Yeah, my favorite's the can-shaped cranberry sauce.
Yeah, right. Of course.
Right.
Of course.
So, all right. So, I just went into Thanksgiving land for a second. Okay. So, what else about this service didn't we cover? I'm going to do this. I'm going to pull up the website.
I sent Rob to email me. How's the dealership sign up? What's the commitment? What's the upfront fee?
Good. Yes.
0 commitment. No upfront fee other than the requirement that they buy GPS units to put in the vehicles.
Really?
And they have to register the vehicles, so they have to plate the vehicles. But other than that, there is no fee. They can get their feet wet, as it were, with one vehicle and test the waters, which is how several of our dealerships have started. And once they test the waters and they're like, man, this water is so nice, I'm going head in. And they go up to the high diving board and they jump right in with a big old cannonball splash, and they're up to 200 cars. So wow. We can scale as fast as you can, and we can hold your hand and cobble you with just one car if you want.
Right. So just like the user can easily get into the program, so can the dealer.
Yeah.
So
we get you added on as additionally insured. So you have an insurance ID card with which to register the vehicles. And then when the vehicle is rented, the renter is paying the insurance premium on a daily basis, and then the rent on a daily basis, and you're up and running. It's fairly fast and simple. As we say, one of our COO has a great slogan, which is, we get you doing rental without doing rental. We do 95% of it, and the dealership does 5%. Their 5% is they receive the foot traffic we send them. They greet them. They check their ID. They hand them the keys. They show them any nuances about the vehicle they need to know about. And then they contact them when it's time to bring the vehicle back for maintenance. So that continues that building a relationship with the potential customer. You invite them back when they've got 7,500 miles on the vehicle. You invite them to the lounge. You treat them nice. Here's a cup of coffee. Here's a bottle of water. We're going to get the vehicle, cleaned and oil changed for you. How's it been for you? Great. Great loving having you as one of our renters. Do you want to get on the path to ownership yet? Or maybe they are on it, but it's a way to keep that relationship going. So we really focus on driving that foot traffic, retaining those customers, and having them even refer more people to that dealership.
So right now, I suppose it seems like you're in the mode of just building your dealership network kind of thing, right? That's where you are.
Yeah.
Exactly. Right. It's just a matter of education. This is a little bit different than what dealers have done before. but it's a very integral, important step. And again, as the Swiss Army knife of shared mobility, we like to get them into the low-hanging fruit, which is supplying cars to Lyft and Uber drivers with a path to ownership. But they can move over to subscriptions. They can do regular car sharing. Once they're equipped with the app and the tools, and the dealer gets comfortable with the admin, it's flexible enough they can take it in any direction we want. And that's part of the magic, because only a dealer knows their local market, right? And kind of the availability. So I'll give you another example really quick. There's a dealership just outside of Washington, D.C., and he's dabbled in the rideshare rent-to-own, but what he really wants to go after, and knows that they're the diplomatic folks that are in, this is the closest dealer to DC, in for 6 months, right? They need transportation for 6 months, right? You can't lease them a car, you can't sell them a vehicle, but what you can do is you can sell them a vehicle subscription for that 6 month period. So I mean, he's got a very localized need that wouldn't be the case if he wasn't where he was. But dealers have that all the time. What the dealer knows is the local market really well, and we give them the tools for shared mobility and rentals and subscriptions, and then they can take this wherever the opportunity lies, right, in that particular area.
Do you think dealers know statistics about people that leave the F&I process because of the down payment and the...
Oh, yeah. And this, we did a lot of, kind of case studies and work with dealers before we started. And one chain dealer said it best. This is a chain of about a dozen stores, right? Franchise stores, but they do a lot of subprime. And his whole thing was, look, I'm advertising and I'm closing 1 out of 4 leads, right? 1 out of 4. I'm paying for all 4, but I'm closing 1 out of 4.
Right.
And figured 2 out of those 4 I'd never close. But at least 25% of the folks that come in are in the exact situation that Keith talked about, which is, look, I've got the income level. I don't have the down payment. And with a subprime person, you have no wiggle room, right? With a prime person, you can let them out with no down payment. Doesn't matter. But a subprime person, if you need $2,000 or $1,500, you need $2,000. You're letting a good person walk out the door. And his thing was, if you can give me a program, this is when we first kind of designed this. You give me a program where I can close 2 out of 4 instead of 1 out of 4. I'm all in, right?
Totally.
And that's the exact situation. And we also have a program running now with Cloud One and Credit Yes. And Cloud One is a big call center, and Credit Yes advertises all over the country on iHeartMedia. For subprime buyers, and they ran into the same situation in big picture around the country that this 8-chain, 9-chain dealer did, which is, I'm getting a lot of leads and I know I could close more but for the down payment, right? And this is exactly about 25%, again, exactly full in that bucket of everything that's coming in, right, in subprime, where we have a solution that can get them on the road and driving.
Yeah, man, no doubt, especially when you add the other factors of what it takes to get into the program, how you're improving with community outreach. That's awesome. Yeah, that's awesome.
I better go to GoDaddy and buy car.
Yeah, pretty sure. Oh, I think somebody just did.
Dang it.
Dang it. Yeah,
You're welcome.
Community outreach. Nah, I'm sure it's still available. I know, because I bought some of those domains and nothing ever happened. But this case, you have a purpose. See, that's what I was missing before.
You do.
A darn purpose. Speaking of side gigs, because we know that Uber and Lyft are side gigs, Side Gig Central. Elena, tell us more about Side Gig Central and how that overlaps with exactly what's going on at DriveItAway.
Sure, yeah. So the podcast is really all about helping people start a side gig, or if they have started a side gig, to continue to make it profitable, right? So the cool thing about DriveItAway is that, they are making car ownership actually affordable for somebody. And I'm always talking about how can you lower your expenses for your side gig so you're actually profitable. So
that's what I talk about too in car shipping, right?
Okay.
You gotta lower your expenses.
Yes, lower your expenses.
If you can.
Yeah, exactly. So if you're able to lower the expense of your vehicle, which is what you absolutely need a vehicle to do rideshare, then you're going to take home more money. You're going to absolutely increase your bottom line. And for a lot of people, they get stuck in the hamster wheel of the perpetual loop of just renting, 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 and they're spending all this money on the vehicle. They never end up owning the asset, right? Because say they get burned out driving Uber or Lyft, what do I get at the end of that? Maybe I got $100 saved up, and I got to give the car back, right? Because it's not my car,
Right.
right?
That's right.
So at the end of it, it's like a
Maybe
big
they
letdown.
built some credit in this case.
Well, I'm saying if they weren't
Right.
using
If they weren't, exactly.
right, so
Right.
that's why.
That's right.
Yeah, so
That's like trying to live in like a Motel 6. You're gonna run out of money.
Yeah.
exactly, you cannot live in a Motel 6. It doesn't work out that well.
Yeah.
So in this case, I felt like it was kind of my duty to tell people, like, hey, if you're doing rideshare, you should take a look and see what DriveItAway is doing, because if you don't know about it, you don't know about the program that they have, like, it could significantly impact what you're earning, like what you're taking home as a rideshare driver. And I know this has been mentioned multiple times over the course of the show today, but yeah, it's you have to stay flexible. Like, this is not a full-time gig. This is a side gig, and
Right.
for most people, it's a side gig that's flexible. They want to drive when they want to drive, and it's obviously not a career path. It's a transition mode that you can get into if you're between careers, or you're an actress or an actor. And Keith knows all about that in California and LA. But it is like a short term, it's a side gig, and I really feel like people need to know, like, if you are trying to leverage it for cash, right, for extra income, you need to be as efficient as possible with your finances, because in the end, it's like you're paying them to drive. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Well, no. In fact, and by the way, where we do differ is car shipping is not a side gig. So note to your audience, if you
Yes.
try to do car shipping as a side gig, that's pretty hard to do, because you can't pause the insurance or the truck payments or the trailer payments, etc. Maybe the only thing that's not happening is your tires aren't getting more wear and tear for the days you're not working. But yeah, no, car shipping is not a side gig. So now that debate has been settled.
I'm glad you cleared that up for me.
Yeah.
I will not do an episode about that.
Some people try to do it as a side gig, and they find out that they're either just going to have to be all in or all
It's
out.
not
It doesn't
viable.
really, yeah, it's not a real side gig.
All right. Well, I'm gonna cross that one off
Right.
the list.
Right, you can work on a tuna boat over the summer, but not car shipping. Check.
Yeah. Checked off.
Okay, so now you
Yeah.
have that.
But hopefully that kind of like clarifies the bridge between the two.
Right.
The
That,
things here.
well, that's
So-
the thing, is that you are saying that if you, as a good opportunity to get into a car through a DriveItAway program, is to do the side gig, Uber,
Yeah.
Lyft driving while you pay for your vehicle. Here's a question I wanted to ask. Does the app help you identify dealerships that participate in the program? Is there a way to know that?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if dealership's not participating, the inventory won't be listed, right?
Okay.
So you can search by just app location. You can search by zip code. And here too is where shipping is going to become more prevalent as more and more folks identify this, and there's more and more vehicle need. Like I say, vehicles aren't always in the same the right spot that they should be, right? And there's going to have to be transport, right? There's going to be volumes of vehicles that are needed in certain places at certain times, just like they are, in a sales situation. Only we're moving a sale into a rental that will become a sale, but the same underlying need is going to be there.
Yeah, no, and I see that. And Rob's got another question. Man, Rob has been on. By the way,
he's on fire.
What? Say it again.
He's on fire.
He is on fire. And Silver Mint's had a couple in there too. A couple quick jabs. Zipcar has that tech in the vehicles. He's seen many issues with no starts. That's interesting. And in fact, we know that, John, I think I saw you had a list of different car tech companies and different segments. It's interesting. Who are some, just so we, in the cornucopia, who are some of what are some of those other names we see spinning around out there? We talked about Turo, which is peer-to-peer ride sharing.
Right.
Is Maven in that list?
Maven's in that list. That's a General Motors venture for car sharing. They're straight car sharing. I don't believe they do much peer-to-peer, although they've experimented with a little of everything. Fair was out there as a subscription model, but they've had their issues. Reach Now was the venture by BMW that was car sharing. Again, not peer-to-peer. They were offering it, but they've merged now with Daimler's entity and have their own out there. So there's a smattering of manufacturers,
right? OEMs,
subsidized things. Then there's the
Turo. I'm sorry to cut you. Is that OEMs working with dealers, or is that OEMs working with individuals?
No, OEM on their own. There's no OEM program working with dealers right now.
Huh.
Right? In fact, what's sort of crazy, I'll give you this little thing with General Motors, right? So General Motors has Maven, which is, dabbles in the peer-to-peer car sharing realm as well as the business car sharing realm. But if you buy a vehicle in a General Motors dealership and put it on a General Motors finance contract, you are prohibited from doing peer-to-peer car rental, right? Even though technically Maven is owned by General Motors. Strange enough, all the manufacturer initiatives didn't cut in the dealer, right? Which we thought was kind of crazy because that's your lowest, the delivery point. And Fair bought vehicles from dealers, but they put them on subscribers and they acted as principal, right? So there really isn't another entity out there that puts the dealer inside this business. And that really is, we think it's ironic and crazy because, again, the dealer is the low-cost producer here, right? They're the ones that have a facility that repair vehicles. They're the ones that have the lowest cost of used vehicles. They're the ones that, can benefit from a customer gravitating, putting in a path to ownership, right? And they, of course, are ubiquitous. They have physical plant all over the place that's already there, and yet the manufacturers, in their wisdom, set up these separate things that have nothing to do with dealers and don't cut the dealer in. It's sort of crazy in that. Caravan was another one that Fair purchased, that Ford had, that was car sharing. So there's smatterings of a lot out there. You mentioned Zipcar, right? That was that was bought by I believe Hertz to operate, or Enterprise. Enterprise bought them, right, to operate in, right?
Yeah.
So those don't have any ability.
Is FlexDrive in this?
Yeah, well, FlexDrive actually is interesting. There's two halves of FlexDrive. FlexDrive are used vehicle subscriptions, so they go to dealers and they facilitate used vehicle subscriptions. So they are facilitating dealers. Clutch is another one that does that.
Clutch. Now that's Cox Automotive.
Yep. So FlexDrive is owned half by Cox and half by Holman. There's another half of FlexDrive that dealers don't see that actually is a new car rental company supplying 25,000, give or take, vehicles to Lyft drivers. So, it's a rental company like Hertz supplying to Lyft, right? FlexDrive is supplying to Lyft. But that piece the dealers, aren't cut in for, right? The dealer has the ability to do used vehicle subscriptions, but the other half of FlexDrive is entirely separate, supplying new rental vehicles to Lyft drivers. I mentioned this too, the demand for temporary vehicles for rideshare drivers is extremely large and was just recognized. There was just an article in the Wall Street Journal at the end of September that identified Hertz and Avis, their growth area being rideshare rentals. So Hertz is up to 50,000 cars now. Avis is 10,000 and growing very quickly.
Wow.
And then FlexDrive has 25,000 cars, and at one point, Fair had 25,000 cars. And yet the need is overwhelmingly larger than that. And that's where we see, that's why I call this the low-hanging fruit for car dealers.
Yeah.
One, because there's so much demand, and two, because we see so many of these folks that really do want a path to ownership. But nobody, I mean, FlexDrive, Hertz, Avis, none of the suppliers offer that except for us, right? So we really want to ground that person inside a dealership where they can, satisfy the ownership need. That helps the dealer, that helps the driver, and it gives them a temporary vehicle at the same time. So while we enable everything as the Swiss Army knife of shared mobility, we'll let a dealer do straight, kind of retail car sharing and subscriptions and commercial subscriptions, right? The overwhelming demand, if a dealer said, where am I going to start that I can scale like overnight immediately, as Keith said, to 50 cars or 100 cars or 200 car fleet, that would be in satisfying that rideshare driver, because there's really an insatiable need for vehicles there.
So here's what was just going through my mind as I'm hearing of that. I'm thinking, you're like the shared mobility master, and you could have like, I don't know, somebody could do this, the shared mobility news, because there's so much news in this niche, and everything you say seems to lead back to why your program is a great idea and fulfilling a need.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a lot of education that needs to be done just because it moves so quickly, right? And the tech world tends to move very, very quickly, and the automotive industry tends to move slow. So you put those two things together, and you've got lots of stuff going on.
Yeah.
But the dissemination of knowledge, you're 100% right, is not happening as quickly.
Well, and then even when you have the dissemination of knowledge, you have to explain how these dots connect.
Yes. Yep.
I mean, that's what I feel like. What I've identified in car shipping, I'd say in 2019, is that all these new things happening, nobody's connecting the dots. I mean,
yeah, very much so.
Not really, not in a way. I see it, man. I see, the drivers. If I'm not talking about, how to get better rates, well, then, no, I'm going to go find someone that'll tell me how to find better rates. I'm telling you, man, the rates aren't getting any better. So you have to understand what's happening in the marketplace. It's going to be you changing your business model and what you understand about the business. That's what it's going to affect the rates. Not you can't stare at a wall and wait for the rates to go up. It's like you think those screens flipping with numbers in Rotterdam and you're waiting on the train. Let me tell you, those numbers ain't going to change. Not really.
No, absolutely. And that's why there's tremendous opportunity, because there is a lack of knowledge out there. So a little bit of education goes a long way to grab the opportunity. And I do believe those guys, particularly those dealers that move in first, or those in any walk of this industry, those guys that move in first are going to have a major advantage to the guys who come in, after them.
I would if I was technologically savvy and I was paying attention, I would look up every new automotive app, company, startup, offering, and start calling and be like, hey, you guys need a driver, or do you have a company you work with? Can I get on that list? That's what I'd be doing.
Yeah,
in fact,
absolutely.
I might call Keith and be like, hey, Keith, where are your transporters moving these cars? Right? And then I'd start going down the list. But I think that it's really interesting. There are all these news stories pointing at things happening. That's what you just made me think of. That, I mean, you're helping me connect to the dots. I consider you literally my source of understanding of car subscription stuff, like that. And it was happening in Raleigh in July. And I'm sitting in your, I can still remember, I was sitting in your breakout session thinking, you remember that picture? The one, what's the year where there was one car and everything was horses?
Yep. It was, I think, 1900 and 1905, but it was a period of like less than 10 years on Fifth Avenue,
Yes.
and you took a snapshot, and there was one motor vehicle and the rest horses. And then, like I said, less than 10 years later,
Yes.
right, there was one horse and all motor vehicles, right? And that's how change happens, right? I mean, to update it, if you look at taxi medallion values in New York City, right, they were going straight up on a path even after Uber was introduced into New York City. And in 2014, they peaked at 1.5 million, right? And Uber had already been introduced, but you cycle that down, and since then it's gone straight down, and they're worth like less than 150,000 a piece. So that's how change happens. And what I do is, in that presentation is I pull together a whole bunch of different forecast places, ABI Research and Deloitte and ARC Investment Research and IHS, right? And in different predictions that they have, different stats, but it's all pointing to the same thing, which is mobility fleets of this mobility in general are going to grow, right? And private ownership is going to go down, right? And one stat that I think IHS Market does that really shows it is, look, you're not going to have less driving. You're not going to have less wear and tear. You're going to have more, right? There's going to be 35% less vehicles, but 65% more, driving and wear and tear on them. So you got to get into the loop where you're making money on that, and that's essentially, the thesis of why we exist.
Right, and so therefore, we're talking about from top to bottom. Everybody needs to learn about what's going on all the way. You saw OEMs sitting on a panel, and sometimes a question would come up, and they're like, "Nope, that is not happening." Well, you know what? I think the digital auction, you can't deny it any longer. I'm talking now, I switched over to the auction heads. There was one guy, I don't know if it was an OEM or an auction, and he was like, nah, cars are going to run through the lanes forever. This digital auction thing's going to go by the wayside. Like, what are you talking about? And here's the thing. I understand the fear as we start to learn more about it. Then we're like, oh, yeah, I'm going to be replaced by a robot tomorrow. Like, yeah, I had a guy tell me a couple years ago that there wouldn't be human beings on the phones making phone calls for loads and dispatching. Yeah, well, that hasn't happened. In fact, it's just, you got to understand how your role may change, but you're not being replaced by a robot tomorrow. Not exactly.
Yeah.
So, no, I mean, this is opportunity. The thing is that change is opportunity if you get on the right-hand side of it.
Yes,
right?
That's exactly it. Change is an opportunity if you get on the right side of it. That's right. It's true. And that's where all these mobile apps, it is amazing. And that's why, like, I talked about the horse buggy and the mobile app. When was the year of the mobile app? So if we put the year of the mobile app at about 7 years ago, 6 years ago,
I would say that.
7.
Yep.
So then we got a few more years until, when is the full eclipse? Is it another 5 years?
That's a good question.
Right.
That's a good question.
That's what everybody wants to know. Like, I think one of the number one things people want to know is, when are there going to be fully autonomous vehicles on the road? Like, that's like the freak out point. What year am I freaking out?
Technically, there already is, because a Tesla is fully autonomous.
It's on the road. It's not fully autonomously driven yet. So
just about.
Well, okay. Well, what's the percentage on that though? 1%?
I mean, you got to start it and put in a destination, but I mean, you're pretty much done. I mean,
all right. And
granted, you're not allowed to let it go without a driver behind the wheel.
Right. It's not like level 5 or whatever it is, right?
There's those 5 levels. That's right.
Right. But you can literally sit there and read the paper, and it's going to get you there.
Isn't it fascinating that all of us know that those 5 levels because of the presentations we saw? Which then we realize, wow, the level of reach and impact of the messages we put out, sometimes we don't realize. Like, honestly, at this point, episode 113 of Auto Transport Intel, I have no idea how many people I've reached or not reached. Right? I don't know how many people I've put to sleep at this point. I don't know how many people I made hungry tonight.
Yeah.
But we do know those 5 levels, and also, I mean, I know your the picture of the horses. I think the second year was 1913, and the first one might have been 1905. Am I?
Yeah.
I think I'm.
That
You know what?
sounds
I'm gonna.
I know,
I'm
right?
gonna
What are
double
those
check
years?
right now.
Give me the
I'm
years.
going to double check. Hold on.
In fact, I was. This is where it's the more we learn, I think the more excited we get about learning, which is why some people just get addicted to like getting every thesis and PhD they can get. Because I was learning that there's this great YouTube video. Here's a plug. It's called Magic Highway. One of my ATI fans sent me this email. Hey Jay, you got to check out this video. You got to Google Disney's Magic Highway. And it's a 1 hour, it's made by Disney, so it's kind of weird. It's weird. And it's from the 50s, called Magic Highway. And they were talking about how basically the first vehicle was a motorized horse buggy. So it looked like a horse buggy, but it didn't have horses. And I think that was the late 1800s. Whereas the first engine was actually a steam-powered engine, and it was in the 1700s or something crazy, but it was so slow, it was like, well, why not walk?
Yeah.
Right? It was a steam-powered engine. But it's fascinating. So here we are, right? We just took a dip into the past. We talked about the 1905, 1913, and now here we are, mobile app, future, ride sharing, all these new business models, you know, metal ball going through the wall and Cybertruck. We got all these things happening.
Epic fail.
Well, and it's so interesting.
You talk about the Tesla thing?
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
for the record,
I saw that on Twitter.
It is an epic fail for the record.
Yeah.
And I would like the meme for that to be stop trying to be Steve Jobs. Like, I wish everybody would just stop trying to be Steve Jobs. Steve Jobs was great. By the way, who was Steve Jobs trying to be? Does anybody know? Let's go back and try to be that guy. Maybe Albert Einstein.
Yeah.
You know, wearing the same sweater or whatever. But the point is that we're on the cusp of this there's a lot of new craziness happening. Kudos to us.
That's right.
To be a part of it, right? So if you're still trying to get things to be the same as it was 10 years ago, I don't know, man. I'd say stop doing that. Stop slapping yourself and join the future. And throw a metal ball through your window.
That's the thing about the past. There's no future in it.
Oh man, he's hot tonight.
Oh man, he is.
I'm blown.
He is hot tonight.
That is great. And that is a perfect way to end this, man. I want to thank you guys so much. Hey, before I let you go, I did want to say, what if people want to learn more about Drive It Away? Obviously, they go to driveitaway.com. Can they email? Is there an email address?
Sure, just mine or Keith. John at Drive It Away, Keith at Drive It Away. We'll be glad to take any of your questions personally. That's what we do.
So John at Drive It Away, Keith at Drive It Away. All right, yeah. Juan says wisdom. That's what we're all about here. Okay, what about a phone number? Did I see a phone number?
Yeah, we got several. Yep. Well, use our general number. Do you have that number handy, Keith? We have the 203 number, because then it'll route it to the right person, whichever you went through,
right,
dealer.
The one on the website. I saw it on the website. It was 203.
491 4283.
Okay, let me type 203 491
4283.
4283. And you can call Drive It Away, you can email Drive It Away, you can go to Drive It Away. And also, if you want to learn more about Side Gig Central, it's a podcast. Go to sidegigcentral.com. You can search for that on popular podcast apps.
Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely. Apple Podcast, Google, also Spotify, and iHeartRadio. So wherever you get your podcasts.
And me, like, it's interesting. I know almost everything about YouTube, but when it comes to podcasts, I still don't have a podcast yet. I need to do that. But
Yeah, you gotta get one.
I know, I really do. I went to sidegigcentral.com, and that's
Mhm.
where I was accessing your content. But yeah,
Great.
I do need to get a content. But I think your website's great. Great website.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
easy
Thank
to
you.
navigate, and I thought your blog posts were very they were very interesting. I found myself reading them, which honestly, a lot of blog posts I'm like, meh, you know.
Yeah, I try to put a little bit of personality into it, but yeah,
Good
thanks
stuff.
for the plug, Jay.
Absolutely.
Totally get onto that podcast train. You would do really well, because then you can
Thank you.
repurpose this content
Oh,
and
I
then
know, I know. What am I
See?
thinking? I know. It's actually one of the things that I plan to actually really happen next year.
do it.
Yeah.
2020 is your year.
Oh yeah, man. Thank you.
You're welcome.
You know, thank you guys so much for joining me. It really was fun. I think we all had a great time. I think we all got a little hungrier, and
Yes.
I feel like we really informed folks more about what Drive It Away is about and the opportunities of changing business models into the future. So thank you so much.
Excellent. Thank you. This was fun. We'll do it anytime.
Awesome.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Yeah, and you know what? And this was short notice. I mean, we put this together. I saw, what was that, 2 weeks ago?
Yep.
2 weeks ago. So thank you for helping me put it together on such short notice. It really means a lot.
No problem. This was fun. This is a
Yeah.
great show. Anytime
Anytime.
you need us, just give us a call. We'll be there.
All right, you got it. You guys take care. Thank you so much. Have a great Thanksgiving.
Happy
too.
Thanksgiving.
All right, see
Bye.
you guys. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Okay, and that meeting is over. It's in the books. So then we got to go back to, let's do this. And I know there's somebody out there right now thinking about Thanksgiving feast. I know it. I know I am. I'm hungry. I want to have something to eat. I want like a turkey sandwich with mashed potatoes and stuffing and I like the turkey when it's, you know, right, like it gets kind of gamey, right? After a few days it gets gamey. So make sure that you load up on turkey when you're able. Like, I need to tell you, and you know what, guys, seriously, I thank you for tuning in to Auto Transport Intel. It really means a lot. I think I showed you, let's do this. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna take the picture away here for a second, and I think I told you that next week is Auto Transport Mobile App Load Board Notifications Dispatch Center by SuperFlo Systems. They are the live interview, so that is next Tuesday night. That's going to be a great show. Really looking forward to it. Mark is a friend of the show. You've seen him in the live chat many times, and I can't say enough nice things about Drive It Away. Thank you guys so much for joining the show tonight and doing it on short notice. I really, really appreciate it. Listen, if you're out there and you're watching the show, you're hanging around and thinking, man, what would be another great show? Let me know. autotransportintel@gmail.com. Send me an email. Tap the friend, company, business owner, service provider next to you. Say, listen, check out Auto Transport Intel. This show, he's on every Tuesday night talking about all things car shipping, actually reaches out into other areas of the automotive industry and tries to find a way to bring it in and add knowledge and bring value. So that's what it's all about. I mean, I really appreciate it. Listen, whether you're a car shipper, you're thinking of shipping a car, you're a broker, a dispatcher, a carrier, a dealer, you work at an automaker, auto auction, repo yard, repossession, third-party technology. Man, there's all kinds of ways to go into how this automotive industry interacts with the car shipping. It's cars. It's all cars, man. That's what we're talking about. So if you want to talk about that, let me know. autotransportintel@gmail.com. Silvermint, thank you, buddy. Thanks for emailing me. I appreciate it. It's great to hear from you guys when you guys email me. Let me know what's on your mind. Let me know what's going on. And I'm glad you found it interesting. When I met Drive It Away in July, and then again at Used Car Week this month. I was like, man, these guys have got to come on the show. This is fascinating stuff. It's really what's at stake and what's happening in these changing business models. There are so many changing business models. It's amazing. So anyways, listen, I don't want to drag this out any further. I really, really appreciate you guys tuning in. I'll see you next Tuesday night for Dispatch Center by SuperFlo Systems. You guys have a great Thanksgiving. Stay safe out there. Happy turkey, and be thankful that whoever you're hanging out with, that you're there and that you're enjoying the day. And I hope things go well for you that day and the rest of the week. And be careful out there with the weather. And thank you guys so much. And I'll see you next Tuesday night.